My God, I got so frustrated trying to find picture files in a request for screenshots. Even with the help of two brothers, I just could not find the file. It wasn't where it was supposed to be. I've seen it before on another computer. Okay, American flag to stake my claim. This is my land. This is your land. California to... Okay. The Hobbit comic book. Somehow I picked this up. It's alright. Star Wars mini collector plate. And there's that. Anakin and Obi-Wan. It goes in the Star Wars collection. Frankenstein Halloween mask. Humphrey Bogart. Film stars. I like Humphrey. Well, this is worth its weight in gold. Mad Stew. Real mad book. Don Martin. This is the real stuff. Just funny. Good drawings. The lighter side of kid talk. Gee, Mrs. Millhouse, I didn't know you were so religious. Woman has all these stolen hotel towels. It's hilarious. Dune Messiah. It's a pretty good book. This book my brother gave me years ago for my birthday. Canaletto drawings. I don't know who he is. It's an Italian guy. It's really small. It's good. Doesn't excite me or do much for me. What am I supposed to do? The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. This treasure is Jack Kirby Collector 41. Black Panther. Nova. Wasted 3 minutes of your life again. Well, here's a useless book I don't know what to do with. Holy Bible. Piece of garbage. Alright, H.P. Lovecraft. I seem to manage to waste 3 minutes of your life every video. Sorry about that. I have problems. The event which I am about to relate. This is from the transition of Juan Romero. The event which I am about to relate was unheralded by long premonitions. Though the man Romero had interested me, and though my ring had affected him peculiarly, I think that neither of us had any expectation of what was to follow when the great blast was set off. Geological considerations had dictated an extension of the mine directly downward from the deepest part of the subterranean area, and the belief of the superintendent that only solid rock would be encountered had led to the placing of a prodigious charge of dynamite. With this work, Romero and I were not connected, wherefore our first knowledge of extraordinary conditions came from others. The charge, heavier perhaps than had been estimated, had seemed to shake the entire mountain. Windows in shanties on the slope outside were shattered by the shock, whilst miners throughout the nearer passages were knocked from their feet. Jewel Lake, which lay above the scene of action, heaved as in a tempest. Upon investigation, it was seen that a new abyss yawned indefinitely below the seat of the blast, an abyss so monstrous that no handy line might fathom it, nor any lamp illuminate it. Baffled, the excavator sought a conference with the superintendent, who ordered great lengths of rope to be taken to the pit and spliced and lowered without cessation till a bottom might be discovered. Shortly afterward, the pale-faced workmen apprised the superintendent of their failure. Firmly, though respectfully, they signified their refusal to revisit the chasm, or indeed to work further in the mine until it might be sealed. Something beyond their experience was evidently confronting them, for so far as they could ascertain, the void below was infinite. The superintendent did not reproach them. Instead, he pondered deeply and made many plans for the following day. The night shift did not go on that evening. Yeah, if you don't like the toy stuff that I bring in, just skip over that part. At 2 a.m, a lone coyote on the mountain began to howl dismally. From somewhere within the works, a dog barked in answer, either to the coyote or to something else. A storm was gathering around the peaks of the range, and weirdly shaped clouds scudded horribly across the blurred patch of celestial light which marked the gibbous moon's attempt to shine through many layers of cirrostratus vapors. There's a footnote. Here's a lesson in scientific accuracy for fiction writers. I've just looked up the moon's phases for October 1894 to find when a gibbous moon was visible at 2 a.m. and have changed the dates to fit. There you go. Gibbous moon's attempts to shine through many layers of cirrostratus vapors. It was Romero's voice, coming from the bunk above, that awakened me. A voice excited and tense with some vague expectation I could not understand. Madre de Dios, el sonido, ese sonido, oiga vid, Senor, that sound. I listened, wondering what sound he meant. The coyote, the dog, the storm, all were audible. The last named now gaining ascendancy as the wind shrieked more and more frantically. Flashes of lightning were visible through the bunkhouse window. I questioned the nervous Mexican, repeating the sounds I had heard. El coyote? El perro? El viento? But Romero did not reply. Then he commenced whispering as in awe. El ritmo, senor, el ritmo de la tierra. That throb down in the ground. And now I also heard and shivered, and without knowing why. Deep, deep below me was a sound, a rhythm, just as the peon had said. Did he just call him a peon? Which, though exceedingly faint, yet dominated even the dog, the coyote, and the increasing tempest. To seek to describe it were useless, for it was such that no description is possible. Perhaps it was like the pulsing of the engines far down in a great liner, as sensed from the deck. Yet it was not so mechanical, not so devoid of the element of life and consciousness. Of all its qualities, remoteness in the earth most impressed me. To my mind rushed fragments of a passage in Joseph Glanville, which Poe had quoted with tremendous effect. The vastness, profundity, and unsearchableness of his works, which have a depth in them greater than the wall of Democritus. Suddenly Romero leaped from his bunk, pausing before me to gaze at the strange ring on my hand, which glistened queerly in every flash of lightning, and then staring intently in the direction of the mine shaft. I also rose, and both stood motionless for a time, straining our ears as the uncanny rhythm seemed more and more to take on a vital quality. Then, without apparent volition, we began to move toward the door, whose rattling in the gale held a comforting suggestion of earthly reality. The chanting in the depths, for such the sound now seemed to be, grew in volume and distinctness, and we felt irresistibly urged out into the storm, and thence to the gaping blackness of the shaft. We encountered no living creature, for the men of the night shift had been released from duty, and were doubtless at the dry gulch settlement pouring sinister rumors into the ear of some drowsy bartender. From the watchman's cabin, however, gleamed a small square of yellow light like a guardian eye. I dimly wondered how the rhythmic sound had affected the watchman, but Romero was moving more swiftly now, and I followed without pausing. As we descended the shaft, the sound beneath grew definitely composite. It struck me as horribly like a sound of oriental ceremony, with beating of drums and chanting of many voices. I have, as you are aware, been much in India. Romero and I moved without material hesitancy through drifts and down ladders, ever toward the thing that allured us, yet ever with a pitifully helpless fear and reluctance. At one time I fancied I had gone mad, which is what happened to me today when I was trying to find the file for screenshots on EverQuest. This was when, on wondering how, there's another footnote from previous paragraph. To my mind rushed fragments of a passage in Joseph Glanville, which poet quoted with tremendous effect. Footnote 1, motto of a descent into the maelstrom. Oh, that's a good story. You ought to read it. Haven't read it in years. Damn it. Sorry to combine my Lovecraft reading with my own personal therapy. This was when, on wondering how our way was lighted on the absence of light or candle, I realized that the ancient ring on my finger was glowing with eerie radiance, diffusing a pallid luster through the damp, heavy air around. It was without warning that Romero, after clambering down one of the many rude ladders, broke into a run and left me alone. Some new and wild note in the drumming and chanting, perceptible but slightly to me, had acted on him in startling fashion, and with a wild outcry he forged ahead, unguided in the cavern's gloom. I heard his repeated shrieks before me as he stumbled awkwardly along the level places and scrambled madly down the rickety ladders. And frightened as I was, I yet retained enough of perception to note that his speech, when articulate, was not of any sort known to me. Harsh but impressive polysyllables had replaced the customary mixture of bad Spanish and worse English, and of these only the oft-repeated cry, Huitzilopachli, I'm not kidding, seemed in the least familiar. Later I placed that word in the works of a great historian, footnote, Prescott, Conquest of Mexico, and shuddered when the association came to me. Well, I'm lazy today. I only have a page left. I'll finish it next time. Thanks.